Hello, I'm Bruce McCall, President and CEO of TAA Flight Training in Greensboro, North Carolina, and past Chairman of the Flight School Association of North America. Created by Bob Rockman, the Flight School Association of North America, or as we call it, FSANA, was designed to help new and existing flight school owners and operators all across America learn about and or improve many aspects of their business. I've listed many of the areas they focus on here, but there are many, many more. Today, I'd like to talk to you about just one of the business development programs created by FSANA that's designed to help flight schools get and keep more students and to help them improve their bottom line. If you haven't heard the remarkable story about the founding and ongoing expansion of this organization, I encourage you to check it out at fasana.com. I bought our flight school in 2013. At that time, we had 4 aircraft, 4 instructors, and flew an average of about 140 hours per week. Today, we have 8 aircraft, 13 instructors, and fly an average of 300 hours per month. Like everyone else, we're now dealing with a COVID-19. And I guess that's why I'm talking to you from my office instead of at the actual Redbird convention. Luckily, we've been able to operate throughout this crisis, and thankfully, student activity is beginning to come back. Now, personally, I didn't learn to fly until I was 46 years old. And that was in a Phantom ultralight that I built myself, weighing in at a whopping 254 pounds off a grass strip in the middle of 50 acres of corn in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It had a Rotax engine, 503, aluminum tubes bolted together and covered in fabric made up the wings. The king post held up the wing while it was on the ground, and the gas tank behind the seat held just 5 gallons of MoGas. But let me tell you, once I slipped the surly bonds of Earth in my little airplane, I was hooked. I mean, immediately. Our club of ultralights flew all year round, and in the winter, we would actually take off the wheels and put on skis to land on the snow and frozen lakes. I've spent 20 years in consumer marketing for companies like Campbell Soup, 7-Up, Philip Morris, and Cadbury Schweppes, followed by 20 years in banking and another 10 years running FBOs before purchasing the flight school. So, coming from that background, I naturally approached this new industry of flight training as I had done for every new challenge throughout my career. While each flight school is unique, we all face the same fundamental questions about our business. So I began by asking these questions. How can we keep our existing customers and attract new students? How can we keep and find new instructors and improve our product offering? Can we expand the products we offer, all the while maintaining or improving profitability? To answer these questions, after you decide who your target audience is, hey, you gotta go after them. So here are the steps we use. Create awareness. You know, you could have the best restaurant in town, but if nobody's aware that you exist, your only customers will be those that accidentally find you. And since not many people drive around the airport looking for something to do, they will not come to learn about your school if they aren't even aware that you exist. So, do it. Next, generate trial. If they are aware that you exist, you need to give them a really, really good, compelling reason to try a new thing. Like many other flight schools, we sell gift certificates and make special ones for each occasion, including birthdays and anniversaries. Next, frequency of purchase. If they do try you out, you need to perform in a manner that gets them excited and keeps them coming back. And if they do come back, you'll need to kill them with kindness to create raving fans and advocates for your flight school. I now have over 8,000 hours of flight time since my days in Kalamazoo, including flying my own Piper Comanche into Oshkosh from North Carolina. And you know what? Long before I got into aviation as a business, the thing that always stood out to me was that the aviation community knew it needed pilots, right? I mean, it needed lots of pilots. And I belonged to a lot of different clubs over the years, but I always heard the same thing over and over. How come we don't have more young people in our club? Well, the problem was the existing pilots seemed to only go to events where there were other pilots. So we were basically always talking to ourselves. And from a marketing perspective, that's not good. So let's take a look at where those missing young people are, keeping in mind the questions we talked about earlier. Let's look at these are the kids that we need to be aware of aviation as a potentially rewarding career, no matter what aspect. And you know what? I think that I myself was a pretty typical kid growing up in Missouri, and it never occurred to me to consider aviation as a career. After all, the first time I was ever on an airplane was going to Fort Dix, New Jersey for Army boot camp in the early 70s. So if these are the young people we would like to attract, we have to ask ourselves, what are they doing now? Like me, they probably have all played fireman, doctor and nurse, cowboy, engineer, computer game developers now, construction workers, and many, many others. Not a lot of airplane stuff here. And that was my situation in Greensboro when I got into the flight training business. So frankly, yeah, I was looking for help. Our school was founded in 2008, and as I said before, I bought the company in 2013. After the purchase, I realized there was a lot to learn about flight schools, so I looked around and found the Flight School Association of North America, FASANA for short. We joined FASANA in January of 2014 and attended our first FASANA conference in February of the same year to see what I could learn from those who had gone before. After all, I was just getting started on my quest to answer those 6 questions as they relate to flight training. Now, fortunately, our school had an existing customer and instructor base, so at least I wasn't starting from scratch. But we weren't getting many new students, and that's why we went to the conference. At first, members of FASANA helped me get a handle on things like scheduling and maintenance, safety, and regulations, and all the stuff I talked about earlier. But I really got excited when they began talking about a new thing called Aero Camp, a summer camp for kids 12 to 16 years old that we could completely customize for our own school. Well, after leaving that conference in 2014, I knew I had found a program that fit with my vision for our school. See, I've always been kind of a big picture guy. So I thought that if we could generate awareness among young people in this 12 to 16-year-old age group and keep their interest up through the years, we should be able to get some repeat business every year, right? And maybe grow our own customer base over time. And maybe instructors too. Okay, so here are the elements to developing and sustaining a successful Aero Camp program at your own school. First, join FASANA and get the toolkit with all the goodies about how to set it up and how to run it. Second, Work hard to get the maximum buy-in of others in and around your airport. 3. Be sure to focus on the importance of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, when addressing the parents. And let the kids know that STEM stuff can be really fun. Set up your support system so that it will also involve as many parents and interns as possible. And yes, there's a lot of sweat, hard work, and even a few tears getting things going the first year. All right. I'm going to flip through the next series of slides very quickly to give you a flavor of our program. Again, the beauty of the program is that you can customize it for your own situation. We created a passport for each cadet during Aero Camp 1.0. But to be honest, this little book was really designed to get local buy-in for our program and help make a successful start for our very first effort. It contains the cadet's name, date of camp, and camp nickname or handle. Something like in Top Gun, Maverick, Iceman, Goose, Mac and Cheese. Yep, I'm not kidding. And you know what? The kids really get a kick out of doing this, and they keep it up all week. Okay, so when you look inside their passport, you'll see how we create buy-in for the tours our cadets would receive throughout the week. You see, on each page of the passport, we put the logo of each of the airport tenants that have agreed to have our cadets visit them for a tour. We also create a place for the company representative, right, to sign each passport after the cadets have toured their facility. A completed passport at the end of the week gave the cadets one more thing to show at school. We also found that the company representative signing each passport felt a little, celebrity status as they signed their name. This also created a bond between our school and each of the tenants. Well, of course, the fact that each representative got a T-shirt and a hat probably helped a little too. But, at the end of each summer, we take each of the participating tenants either donuts or pizza, depending on the shift. Another thing we created was an official-looking paper logbook for each cadet to log their time in the aircraft. The pages of the logbook provide a central place for cadets to keep track of the things they learn during camp. Since the kids love to show Mom and Dad what they did, it helps solidify that the cost of the camp was indeed worth it and that we really are focusing on STEM. For example, this page addresses weather and NOTAM requirements and minimums for flight training. They also learn about air currents and log their flight time and other items of each flight. The aviation alphabet and basic minimum VFR visibility and distance from cloud regulations are a key element we touch upon at the start of each and every day at camp. Get them in the habit of asking about the weather from an aviation point of view. After you talk about cloud cover, precipitation, and wind gusts, the paper airplane contests we conduct have a much deeper impact and understanding for the cadets. We cover airspace and give them an idea what they will see from the air. You should also use an aerial photograph of your airport, if at all possible. They are exposed to sectionals and airport diagrams. In fact, we've also painted a scale model of our airport footprint on a taxiway outside our hangar. So the kids can walk an example of taxi and hold short, or as we say now, line up and wait. They experience entering the pattern on the 45, entering downwind, crossing the numbers, turning base while descending, and turning final to line up for landing. With their arms out, they have a lot of fun practicing the takeoff and landing. So we also, if you notice in the middle there, have set up a 4-foot diameter fan. It keeps them cool and lets them practice crosswind landings. Okay, so you've designed a program, and it's time to launch your publicity campaign to get things started. Yes, we did the old-fashioned things everyone knows about, press releases, postcards and flyers, etc. But we also researched our local television and radio personalities to discover which ones had covered aviation in a positive way during the last 2 years. It didn't matter what aspect the coverage was. We could always tie it to at least one of our AeroCamp activities. And it worked. This reporter covered aviation business and provided content to local shows about things going on at the airport. This reporter is actually a news and weather anchor. He did a live remote our second year of the camp, and the program was about 2 hours with breakaways every 15 minutes to cover a different topic of aviation we were involved with. In fact, we get coverage each and every year, and they keep on coming. This cadet, Benjamin, age 13, is explaining on camera why he chose to come back to AeroCamp 2.0. By the way, he's almost ready for his private pilot lessons check ride next month, and is starting his instrument right after that. He came to our very first AeroCamp in 2014. And to be honest, I'm not sure we even broke even that first year. But listen, think about it. This one student alone will be going all the way. He wants to work for the airlines. So hopefully, one day, he'll be an instructor of ours very soon. We even made roadside banners created for high traffic areas near schools. Frankly, we'd do anything to create awareness for our new program. Okay, so day one, get them excited. Our school is so close to the FSDO that we can hit them with a rock. And because of this, our Aero campers can walk to the control tower that's located next door. The tower tour is one of the only advantages we get for being so close to our 141 regulators. The rest of the year when they need to do a ramp check to complete their quota, well, we're, not as glad to be so close. But that's what it is. Okay, so here we go. On with the tour. The cadets get to see the radar tracking screens, listen to live air traffic controllers, watch aircraft take off and land, and hear the stories of what it's like to be responsible for aircraft on the ground and in flight. Sorry here, no pictures allowed, but plenty of smiles afterwards. Taking them up in the control tower is always a big hit, and they love to talk about it all week long. And speaking of pictures, we make sure on the first day of camp that we get a photo of each cadet by themselves in a cockpit. Okay, so here's a question. Can any of you tell me the name of this cadet? No, well, I couldn't remember it either the first day, so going forward, I made a policy that made sure each cadet had a name tag visible in the photo. Believe me, it makes things easy during production. Good job, Amelia. Glad to have you here. We talk about safety in captivating ways without scaring. The redhead cadet, with her back to you, is now halfway through getting her private pilot license. We do cockpit orientation so they can see the instruments and then talk about what each one does. This young man soloed on his 16th birthday and got his license on his 17th birthday. What a hoot, because Daniel did not get his driver's license until later that same year. He's an amazing young man. We take them to the weather station and watch a balloon launch. Some even brought their parents back to watch another launch later that same day. We use videos and presentations by instructors, and we do it in the hangar, if at all possible. This 30,000-hour retired American airline pilot helped us out by teaching the 4 forces of flight and added real-life examples of his world travelers as an airline captain. The night of day 1, make sure you get those 8x10 photos developed. Hey, look, see the name tags? Told you they were valuable. Make sure to display these photos the next day and watch the parents and the cadets just beam. Okay, Tuesday is flight day. 1 instructor and 1 cadet do a discovery flight where the cadet takes control. Don't forget those selfies. After all, come on. It's an experience that makes even the shy smile and give thumbs up. I was told by Alex's parents here that he hardly ever talked about any school activity or any camp he ever attended. After Aero Camp, they told me they can't shut him up. He just keeps talking about aviation. Great job, Alex. Creative sense of teamwork. On Wednesday, we get out rags and buckets and clean the airplanes. Now, I hate to admit it, but every year we send at least 1 or 2 first-year cadets to the hangar and ask them to find a bucket of prop wash. Okay, I can almost hear the groans from the pilots in the audience, but hey, come on. We're just using it as a learning experience, so they figure it out. We expose them to a brand new part of law enforcement from the sky. And even animal control on the airport comes to demonstrate the importance and reasons for keeping animals under control at the airport. You know, one place for excitement to grow is at the firehouse. They love seeing the vehicles up close. Now, here we go. If you look closely, right above the windshield, you'll see a strange, long, thin pipe on the front left with what looks like a parallel, this one on the left, with what looks like a parallel fatter pipe on the right here with 2 white bands around it. See that? Well, when the cadets get to see this fire truck in action, they are amazed to find out that these features of this fire truck are specifically designed for cargo aircraft like FedEx and the others. The pipe we saw on the front right of the truck is actually a forward-looking infrared radar camera. And the one on the front left is actually a titanium nozzle. Using this equipment, the firefighters can literally see inside exactly where the fire is located in the cargo plane, and then quickly punch a hole in the aircraft and put out the fire while not damaging any other aircraft cargo items. We expose them to the bomb-sniffing dogs and often get a real-live demonstration. Now listen, here's another thing. Be sure to schedule enough time for your hosts to tell the cadets about their work and what training they had to do to get their job. The cadets will ask all the questions in the world. But as I said previously, teenagers have a limited attention span. So keep things moving. And you'll always need contingency plans for those times when a scheduled event gets canceled on short notice. On occasions like that, we're likely to visit the flight department office of a major Fortune 500 company on the airport and get briefed by the chief pilot, and then let the cadets ask questions of the flight crew. Despite the tight security that most corporations have surrounding their flight departments, somehow these kids, these Aero Camp cadets, in their T-shirts and caps, always seem to be able to get those doors open. And then we go back to the hangar and talk about possible aviation careers we've seen and ask what else they would like to see on the airport. Again, keep it interesting and keep it fun. We get them down and dirty with some easy maintenance on little planes. And we teach them how to sump the main fuel tanks, checking for water and debris. Make sure everyone gets a try. Here's a little tip. Since we hardly ever actually find water or debris while doing a fuel test, have a small glass of water and put in a few drops so they can see that water really is heavier than fuel. We also show them maintenance on medium-sized airplanes. and some really, really big ones, too. We take them to the Airport Emergency Operations Control Center and discuss the emergency tabletop exercises conducted with every business on the airport. Hey, get creative. Show them all aspects of the operations. They love to tour the fuel farm. Actually, after my business career, I started out as a line guy to learn the aviation business. A year and a half later, I had worked almost every job and became the general manager of that same FBO. We also take them to the main terminal for some shopping and for some ice cream. I was amazed at how little awareness the cadets had about simple airport security. So we take them through the whole process, including screening. And we take them backstage anytime we can get permission. After all, this could be one of their jobs in the future. We do get to take a tour of the baggage handling beneath the airport as well, but again, they don't permit any photographs to be taken there either. Sorry. But everybody got a chance to wear gloves and keep them afterwards. Hey, wait a minute. This was pre-COVID. How things have changed, huh? Yeah. Whenever possible, we try to find special events like this Honda Jet engineer that will talk about the then very secret hush-hush Honda Jet. The cadets get excited to learn the information and to be on the inside. We also have access to full-motion Redbird trainers at our local community college to give the cadets another real-life experience from takeoff to landing. Okay, and the occasional crash. But listen, they absolutely love these Redbirds. They are fantastic. And here, the cadets get the experience, the school gets to promote their college, and all the other tenants we visit get to promote their company to what they hope are future employees. A win-win-win situation from our point of view. We expose them to both the outside and inside of the FedEx and other cargo carriers. After all, these companies need pilots, mechanics, schedulers, and other professionals as well. And of course, the cadets love to sit in the FedEx cockpit. You can almost not get them out. As I said earlier, we learned that the attention span of these teenagers is pretty short. So keep things moving with drones or anything else you have at your disposal. And above all, as I've said, keep things fun. Although we're in North Carolina, it can get pretty hot here during the summer. In fact, it's not uncommon to have days of nearly 100 degrees or even weeks in a row. We try to find indoor activities, but sometimes you just have to make do. So we get creative. I guess these kids are not used to playing outside all the time, so as you can imagine, this becomes one of their favorite hangouts on days like this. Another flight, another selfie. It's a view they will never forget. Some cadets like to bring GoPros or other recording devices. As long as the instructor is comfortable with the cadet, we let it happen. But it doesn't end there. At the outset, I said you need to emphasize STEM. The key is to get them learning while they don't even realize it, and I'll talk more about this event later. The point I will make over and over, though, is to use what you have available, and don't be afraid to think outside the box. You know, some things are so old, they become new. Balsa wood airplanes with rubber bands for power. First we build, then we fly them. Then our judges decide who is the winner. And this is our proud long-distance winner. Nice job, Abigail. Gee, wait a minute. They learned about the 4 forces of flight and then actually got to experience them? See? That STEM stuff can be fun. And you know, I like to visit the hobby stores in the spring as well as toy stores at Christmas because I'm always looking out for that additional activity like this to mix it up a bit. One thing we know for sure, if you teach the cadets the fundamentals, like how the power plant and wings interact, have no fear. They'll take it from there. Oh, wait a minute. Why not 2 props and 2 fuselages? Hey, that worked. How about 3? Isn't this exciting? Like I said, we're always looking for a new adventure for our cadets. Last year, this was their surprise outing. What? A boat? Yeah, but what's that sound we hear coming from our right? They never saw it coming and are always amazed. This is Airbus Bob flying overhead in his brand new Sea Ray aircraft. Wait, don't go anywhere. Stay right where you are and watch. Splash down. They've never seen anything like this or even imagined it. Just look at those retracted wheels. Now, I'm sure this was a lot easier than when Sully had to land in the Hudson River, but it sure looks cool. It's a little hard to see in this photograph, so watch. The cadets not only got a first-hand view of the landing, they got to see it taxi over to a ramp with pretty good speed and agility, and the aircraft actually came up on the ramp for a closer view. What a day. See? I told you we try to mix things up. Another thing we do to add a little spice to each program is to ask all of the candidates what they would do in a particular pilotage problem situation. They sometimes work in small groups and sometimes individually, but there's always a prize. During one Aerocamp session, a club member allowed us to have a drawing for a chance to get a ride in his aerobatic aircraft with the right answer. You know, everyone had a good time and was excited, but especially this winter. Along the way, we use a photo op anytime we can. We use these in the airport briefings we present to the airport authorities after the summer season is over. We found that photos like this really cement our flight school as a part of the overall airport development effort. Throughout the week, these cadets require fuel and reward. So, we always have plenty of water, Gatorade, snacks, and treats throughout the day. At our school, the favorites are chili dogs and pizza. Oh, another little tidbit. Corporate America traditionally gives an hour for lunch. Yeah, right. Be prepared for about a 15 to 20-minute lunch period and have special activities for those that finish first. Paper airplanes, frisbees, or even balloons can save the day. Finally, make graduation a family affair. We invite family and friends. We have each cadet stand up in front of the group and talk about their favorite part of Aero Camp and what they plan to do if it's in aviation. And remember, some will want to be pilots, but each session we hear that someone got excited about engineering, security, engine design, fire station, air traffic controllers, cargo pilot, and one young lady cadet said she wants to chase hurricanes. Yeah, right. Well, you just never know. At the ceremony, each cadet receives a diploma and a framed photograph of themselves sitting in the cockpit. Since Facebook has been so popular, we make sure our camp director posts photos and comments each and every day. The parents are advised of this as well, and they take comfort in being able to track their cadet throughout the week. Remember to highlight each and every cadet anytime you can. This is the young lady that will be chasing hurricanes someday. We wish her luck. Oh, and don't forget the cake. The parents like it too. Also, encourage the families to hang around the school before and after graduation. The cadets proudly show Dad and Sister how much they know about airplanes and how they work. The graduation ceremony is a great time for parents to ask questions, discuss careers and requirements, and future training options. It seems we always get at least these 3 questions. Can parents sign up too? Hey, when can my child start taking lessons? And third, what about Aero Camp? What will it be like for my child next year? Well, as you can imagine, our answer to all of these were, well, it depends. You see, we did plan to add a maintenance camp in conjunction with our local community college that I talked about before, and we wanted to develop a program for those under the age of 12. So, as you can imagine, we had to scramble a little bit to answer all of these back in 2014, and each answer always started with the words, well, that depends. Ultimately, we decided to make our second year and also our third year programs more specifically focused on pilot training. So, we put together a cross-country program for year 2 using our 172s. This program covers 4 days and allows 3 cadets and 1 instructor to make up a squad. We've had as many as 4 squads during a single week. If, for some reason, we end up with not enough cadets to fill a squad, we use the spot to reward one of our summer interns and give them a chance to come along. Here's how it works. Monday is spent reviewing weather and flight planning with multiple stops. Each cadet must create a flight plan for each of their specific roles for each leg of the flight, because they rotate positions after each leg. You might be the pilot on leg number 1, navigator on leg number 2, and communicator on leg number 3. This way, all cadets learn the different aspects of pilotage. See? I told you we focus on STEM while they're having fun. Occasionally, we'll fly into a grass strip airport to take advantage of our extensive aviation community and visit our local EAA chapters. During this session, the local remote-controlled aircraft club was happy to come and discuss what they fly, how they fly them, and even gave us a demonstration of flight capabilities and their own special air show. And of course, at every stop, the cadets want pizza. Just be sure to order enough. All of my children are grown now, and I forgot just how much one teenager can actually eat. It's amazing. We use anything we can to spark their imaginations. This cadet got all excited about this light sport aircraft. He found he could move the aircraft with just one hand. He asked so many questions about it that our EAA chapter guy that owned it actually offered to give him a ride later that week. Yeah, right. Well, I don't have to tell you what the other cadets had to say about it, do I? On one of our airport tours, we came across this gentleman, Mr. John Wells. An ex-Marine, he was also a Honda test pilot while it was being developed. In his spare time, he told the cadets all about his favorite program of Pilots and Paws, where he gets to help a good cause and get in some really fun flying in a rather smaller airplane. The organization rescues animals and flies them to urgent centers, or sometimes just to a new home after a recent adoption. Believe me, the cadets fell in love with both the puppy and Mr. Okay, Wednesday is another planning day. If we went north on Tuesday, we would plan to go south on Thursday. In this particular session, the airports we visited were able to show the cadets a large and a small upholstery shop, a trike, and even a local hospital helicopter. You know, we find that every airport has something they are proud of, and are usually happy to show the cadets what they have to offer at their airport. Okay, well, when we get back, it's time for another graduation. Sometimes so many family and friends attend, we have to move to the large auditorium to handle everyone. And it's air conditioned too. That's a bonus. It really helps on those hot. As I've said, each cadet is special, so always be sure to let them have the spot. They love to show off their photos and souvenirs, and they are really, really proud. From grandmothers to kids in strollers, dads and sisters, everyone wants a special photo of their special person. Another session, another graduation, and of course, there's cake. Again, this graduation, like all other graduations, had the same questions as before. Can parents sign up too? What about next year? What are you going to do to top this? Well, fortunately, our answer was Kitty Hawk. No, I'm not kidding. Aero Camp 3.0. We plan the trip on Monday, depart on Tuesday, and visit little airports along the way. You know, you can read about things and see pictures, but not until you're actually standing at the place where Orville and Wilbur took off from, and then walk a very short distance to where they landed. Only then do you really understand how far we've come in aviation. Believe me, it makes quite an impression on both the cadets and the instructors. Because we will be spending the night at the Tranquil Inn, we make sure we have a van to bring the luggage and act as a chase vehicle in case of an emergency. In addition, we encourage a few parents to come along as chaperones for the younger cadets. While we're here, we take time to learn the real history of the origin of flight. They have photos of the Wright brothers' house, bicycle shop, and even the catapult they used in Dayton, Ohio, to propel the glider for another trip around the farm. And before you ask, yes, that is me in the lower left photo, but no, I was not there to see Orville and Wilbur's first flight. I was out of town that day. The cadets seemed to enjoy touring the Orville and Wilbur Museum and climbing the mound where the Wright brothers actually learned controlled flight in their glider. Of course, we take a monument photograph and have dinner at a local restaurant. While we were there, we even wet our toes at the beach. The next day, after flight planning, we take off, fly the coast, and look at lighthouses and maybe a battleship or two. Then we turn towards Greensboro. As before, we stop at different airports for fuel and an airport tour and change seats. It's a long day, and we always have to watch out for those nasty thunderstorms as we return. When we do get back, what do we do then? Yeah, you guessed it. We have graduation and more cake. Like I've said, above all, we try to keep it fun. Finally, I'd like to report that we have just concluded our modified Aero Camp 2020 despite the COVID challenges. So now, after 7 years of conducting these camps, I'm proud to say that we have grown our own students, our own instructors. We have generated self-sustaining awareness and greatly improved our profitability. And with between 35 and 45 cadets per year, we could not be more pleased. After all, can you imagine that every fall, when the kids go back to school, the teacher asks, "Did anyone do something special this summer?" What a thrill that a kid could stand up and say, "Yes, I flew an airplane." Thanks for watching today. It's been my pleasure to share with you just one of the benefits of joining the Flight School Association of North America. And I would like to thank Redbird for giving us the opportunity of joining your conference today, even if it had to be virtually. But it will not stop here. FASANA is always looking for new ways to help new or existing flight schools with anything from personnel, accounting, litigation, insurance, operations, and of course, AeroCamp. You know, maybe next year, if they ask me back, I can tell you about another program we call Aero Chapter. So, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact FASANA. We're always here to help. Again, thanks for watching, and have a great day.